regulators stopped being so concerned about Bitcoin when they realized it was so perfectly traceable, right?
They stopped, but
it's not privacy protected at all. I feel like privacy coins, in some ways, that maintain privacy are kind of a more kind of existential threat to governments. I don't know.
It is, yeah, but it's also useful for government because governments do not like transparency. They don't want to be audited on their expenses and everything. If anything is going to be adopted by governments for internal use, I believe that should be privacy coins.
Oh, let's see. All right, welcome back to Token Narratives with Bitcoin.com, where we discuss the biggest narratives shaping the Bitcoin and cryptoverse. Graham is unexpectedly indisposed for this week's episode, and I will be taking his hosting chair for the day. Speaking of chairs, Graham, good luck with those probes in the rear. I hope it all goes well, my friend.
Poor Graham, he's got a camera lodged up his ass somewhere.
He does, but he's fine. It's not a serious thing. Exactly, and for those at home who are saying, "Oh, how rude," and sharing this stuff, this was his suggestion. This is Graham's suggestion, so this is clear.
He wanted us to talk about his ass.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't have much to say on that topic.
We don't need your guys's. We don't need our special guests' insights for that yet. As usual, I am David. I am a product manager in the news department, and we have the esteemed Corbin, CEO, who is in Tokyo, right next door to me, actually, gracing us with. Oh, there it is. Gracing us with his presence this week.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, and Corbin and I and several other members of the Bitcoin.com team will be going to IBS Kyoto next week, which should be really exciting.
I'm there to talk about some Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin and BTC, but that's not really what gets us so excited about crypto these days. So that's why we got you guys, talking about some privacy stuff. So I'm pretty excited to hear from the horse's mouth how you guys seeing the future of privacy coins and Zano and things like that. So.
Exactly. We have two special guests from the Zano team. We've got Pavel Ravaga. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your names. How do I pronounce it?
Okay, first name is fine. It's Pavel. And
very good,
everyone.
And Andre. They are the co-founders of the next-gen privacy-focused project known as Zano. And we'll be discussing privacy coins. We'll be discussing Zano in particular, and then open up the conversation to privacy coins in general. So thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to your insights.
Yeah, I appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So start off with, guys, we usually kind of do, or we're starting to do it like a gut check. How do you feel about the markets? How do you feel about crypto in general? Please.
So depends. Who are you asking? Because I'm always the positive one, and Andre tend to be pessimistic. So which outlook would you prefer?
Let's end on a positive note. Maybe let's start with the bear in the room, and then give us the bearish outlook on everything, and then maybe you can pump some hopium into the conversation.
I would say I'm skeptical, but honestly, I don't have much input because I'm not trading at all. Basically. Often I don't even know what's happening. I just maybe sometimes see on the phone everything is red, and I'm just typically asking Pavel, "Hey, what's going on? Why everything is red?" But I I'm not following much things from that perspective. So it's better to speak in style about it.
Well, I guess maybe a question for you would be when, given that you guys work in the privacy coin space, where, I guess, what markets do you guys typically follow? Are you guys following still like Big Daddy Bitcoin, or are you guys looking at Ethereum, or are you guys comparing the wider market to like privacy coins as like an index of like Zcash, Monero, things like that? Or where do you guys like compare the market to, I guess, in your head?
Well, the answer would be we don't really do markets because we are like a small team and we got enough to keep up as it is. So we do not really try to follow market and trends. This is just like a general curiosity thing where things are going, but it's not connected to privacy in general or our project in any way.
Historically, we've been like more technically focused project, which is probably not a good thing for business, but yeah, that's the way we've been doing. We just focused on technology more.
Well, maybe that's been beneficial because you guys have done a lot lately. Like there's a lot of stuff coming out of the Zano community. Like we've been pushing out some updates on news, and it seems like there's regularly some new announcements, following the Zarkanum hard fork, that you guys have like new things coming out, bigger ecosystem, new partnerships, and yeah, we're excited to kind of learn some more about what you guys have been up to. So
yeah, one thing we are sure market are not following tech development at all because we've been doing the same thing for the years and we just pay even less attention to announcements and stuff, and no one knew what happened and what point, and it was not reflected on markets in any way.
So I guess the market's been pretty red across the board. Pavel, can you give us some hopium? Why are we doing this? Why do we all suffer in crypto? Why do we continue the fight regardless of what these markets do? What's your hopium take on the whole world of crypto, or if that's just the world of privacy crypto? Love to hear from you.
Well, I don't think it's privacy specific, and I'm no expert in any way. The way I see it is just an excess liquidity on the market right now because of the general pullback, because of empty gogs, and it's just the way it goes, and it needs to be absorbed, and it will be. Maybe sometime during July and before the September starts, I think it's going to be all right because fundamentally nothing is wrong with crypto markets. Nothing changed. It's still super bullish. People are excited. People talking about ETFs and everything. So I don't see anything going fundamentally wrong with crypto at this point to be able to call the top of the market or anything like that.
Yeah, Corbin, what is their take? I mean, I'm still buying, right? Like I've still been I'm a dollar cost averager. I just buy a little bit of everything. I see these dips as opportunities right now because it doesn't feel toppy to me. But I mean, that could be I could be an idiot too. It's very possible that I'm just wrong and things go the other direction, and maybe that was the top. But I don't know. Just the mania that we saw in previous cycles doesn't seem to have hit. I don't believe we've received a normal amount of normie retail back into crypto. So unless this cycle is the first and only one that doesn't have some, I don't know, public retail or like normie retail surging in, then I think there's still room for this thing to keep going, and that, healthy pullbacks. And like Pavel said, maybe it is just excess liquidity was in this market, and this was a requirement, with say Mt. Gox or some of this German coin sell-off to just kind of like, it's a healthy way to just let it all out and then move into the next phase of, U.S. presidential election FOMO, and maybe the printer goes back on, and then, Fed printer equals numbers go up. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm still kind of feeling like long-term somewhat more bullish. I mean, yeah, I just don't look at the price that much during these weeks because it's depressing. That's all.
Well, yeah, I think the three of you probably have a much healthier way of interacting with the markets, but part of my job being tied to news is to kind of live on Twitter, crypto Twitter, and the sentiment there is pretty. I would describe it as desperate. People seem pretty upset, and sentiment is fairly negative. But to me, that means that's a kind of a good thing. I think it's things are going really well or well enough, and sentiment is quite negative. I think that that's probably a positive thing ultimately, right? Because it's actually not that bad, right? If you look at, I think Pavel was mentioning like the ETFs and spot Ethereum ETF probably coming online in the next week or so. Looks pretty good, and yet people are like, "Oh, the house is on fire." So I don't quite.
What are they upset about? I mean, it's a tiny pullback. Bitcoin is still over 60K. Like if you zoom out a little, it doesn't look like a terrible thing. I don't get it. I've seen it like way below, and it was fine.
I always do kind of wonder how much of the noise is actually coming from just new people. Like it could be just there's the noisy people that are maybe only 1 or 2 cycles old, and they're like scared of anything that's greater than a 5% pullback. Where in crypto, like you kind of have to get comfortable with these 80% pullbacks occasionally happening, and you're like, well, it is what it is. If you're comfortable leaving some wealth in crypto, you kind of also have to be comfortable with when it's good, which is great for you, and also when it's bad, which is also not so great for you. But
speaking of new people, oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. That's it. Oh, no, just I heard something very funny today on another podcast. Speaking of new people, and this is not the first time I've heard it in the past week or so. Is that the new people in crypto? So for this cycle, are really stupid, and the evidence for this is the rise of meme coins and then celeb coins, and then just the general discourse on CT. Where in previous cycles, the discourse was on like, is impermanent loss truly impermanent, or how would you compare balancer to curve and this kind of thing. The newer discourse is like, is Ansem still a main character, and all this kind of celeb coin stuff. So I thought that was a spicy.
Yeah, that's
interesting. I don't know how you feel about that.
It's interesting. I guess like I would say that the last cycle did seem like a little bit more cerebral, or like there was a lot more interesting technical discussions, I think, occurring, where I think if you're in the right circles, in the right areas, there are probably still those occurring, but I would say that the wider crypto Twitter side of stuff does seem to be like moving in a dumber direction of like meme coins, and I think people haven't really gone back to tradition of, are we building something interesting? Are we providing more value to the world? Are we increasing the world's economic freedom and making people have more fair money? Which
I think not the people are getting dumber. Maybe it's just different. Some people joining the cause, and people are still building. Whoever believed in crypto before, they keep doing their thing. It's just new audiences getting exposed, and they pick whatever they prefer. And if it's the Solana meme casino right now, it's just the general. Before it used to be, I don't know, Binance, Launchpad, and what pumped more. It's not an intellectual discussion. It's probably just the new taste, the cycle, and this time it's Solana meme coins, which is fine, I guess.
Well, maybe a question for you guys. So maybe for those listening who don't know, Zano is the only privacy coin that I've seen that has the ability to support alternative assets. So that could mean NFTs, that could mean tokens, that could mean any other kind of, I guess, unique tokenized representation of anything could live on the Zano chain. Have have you guys seen on your chain a meme season, or is that something that you guys are welcoming towards? Or do you want some of the chaos that is Solana meme coins to come join the chaos of privacy tokens, or is this? I guess, is there a different narrative to where you guys see the tokens living on a privacy blockchain?
Well, personally, I wouldn't mind. I don't think it's possible due to the privacy nature of the Zano blockchain, because you cannot see the addresses and amounts, and those kind of pump fueling events are not just feasible because you cannot see anything going on, just maybe the price chart. But personally, I wouldn't mind. For us, any use is good. No, we haven't seen it yet because we just released the thing and we slowly getting it ready for the public usage. Right now, it's really clunky and inconvenient. You need to work with the command line interface to be able to launch your own token. So it's a process, but hopefully we'll get there.
Are you guys seeing any volume on the decentralized exchange portion of Zano? I've seen you guys recently launched a DEX. Are you guys seeing trade volume on meme coins, or like I guess what are the typical trades occurring in that side of the Zano ecosystem?
Well, it's a soft launch and it hasn't been announced yet. We have no guides. Only like few people on the inside who follow development GitHub closely knows that it's out there. So I don't think there are any volumes beside the testing coins, and none of the real tokens been launched yet. So it's too early to judge. But we'll do our best to make it a thing. There's a bit of a difference between our DEX and what people usually call DEXs, because we don't have pools that would require us to take some assets of the user and put them in some pools, which is not really it's not good for privacy, because you have to expose some of your data or metadata, like the number of coins you got, and so it's like a P2P market. You create a portion of transaction, you put it there in a matching service, and someone else can see it and complete the transaction, and that would be it. There is no like aggregation software in place. It's just a transaction between two people.
Oh, interesting. So there is no actual LP pool in the same like AMM fashion as like a Uniswap. It's more of a on-chain peer-to-peer trade occurring.
Yeah, that's the only
Very
way
cool
to do it, to preserve privacy. And I mean, there are ways to do it with pools. It's just we are, as a team, we cannot endorse it because that would require users to sacrifice some privacy. We are open to it being built by someone else, but the stuff we provide, it's 100% focused on privacy.
Yeah, I think that makes sense given the privacy first kind of nature of what you guys are working on and have already.
We are sort of forced to choose because we cannot do everything. We are a small team, so we need to figure out what exactly are we focusing on. And it makes sense for us to do the most inconvenient and non-user-friendly privacy-oriented stuff and allow other people to build better UIs, maybe sacrificing some of that in the process. But as long as users fine with it, we don't mind. There are all the tools they need to build it there.
So maybe an intrepid builder who might be listening in could see this as an opportunity then to introduce some of the pool side of stuff if they ever did want to.
Yeah, and we are happy to help. We are short-staffed and we cannot like keep up with everything just by ourselves.
Well, maybe for our listeners, could you guys give us the history lesson on Zano? How did it come to be, and what is Zano? Like what inspired Zano to become what it is today?
How much time have you got? I mean, the whole thing started back in 2014, and I don't want to bother the audience with the ancient history. I can give it like a general idea of why it was happening and what was the purpose and how did that evolve in Zano? It was always an iterative effort in creating a perfect digital money. It began with Bitcoin, and later original crypto node team, the part of it is Andre. I was not around at the time, attempted to address some of the issues they believe Bitcoin faced, and there are a bunch of them, and main one would be the lack of true fungibility because of the public nature of the Bitcoin. And that was Bitcoin or Monero or original crypto node. And it was a thing at the time, and it was back in 2014. Then we did another attempt, which is Zano, and it addressed, it used to be Bulgari, but let's shorten it up and call it Zano. It emerged, addressed the issue identified in crypto nodes with a bunch of innovations like hybrid consensus or improvements. Again, not gonna bore you with the details. And the most recent Zano hard fork we had in Zano is the next step in that direction. Because by now, in 2024, it's evident that tokens are the most widely used form of cryptocurrency for payments. No one believes they're going to be paying for a coffee with 0.00 something worth of any coin. So adding fungibility combined with a truly anonymous proof of stake, which is another thing we released with the Zano hard fork, represents our next advancement towards our goal to become a perfect digital money. So that's kind of the plan, and we'll keep pushing in that direction. But right now, the way we see it, the privacy tokens is the way to digital money.
Can I ask a question about? You mentioned some of the other privacy coins like Monero. How is Zano differentiated from like Monero or Zcash, and why did you feel like there was an opportunity to create Zano to fill a gap, I guess?
Well, yeah, you take this one.
Basically the same family protocol which comes from same origin, and the question that I hate most of everything is when someone approached me and said, so you're a fork of Monero, which is quite opposite. It's not that simple. No, we're not fork of Monero, and but we have a very, very similar, we have a same origin, that the code base that I created 10 years ago, and same approach, but Monero improved it technology a lot, and they have amazing researchers that we should give them. Right now, at this moment, Zano had its own way of evolution. And right now, if you look from technology perspective, from the very high level, the main difference is Zano use different consensus. We use proof of stake, proof of work hybrid, which gives us, I believe, there's different camps about proof of work and proof of stake, and I had like tons of conversations about that. But yeah, proof of stake, it's a given fact. Just know the proof of stake gives you better security against double spend attack and some other attacks. So we cannot, due to privacy nature and some other stuff, we cannot get rid of proof of work at all. It's protect us from some sort of attack. So we have a hybrid system, proof of work, proof of stake, and that's how Zano started originally. Zano was a proof of work, proof of stake consensus project. That was also quite innovation back there in 2018 when we released the code base publicly. And the second, that's the big difference from Monero, I mean, from technical perspective, right? The second big difference is that we have a tokenization confidential assets that everyone everyone can create, deploy his own asset on top of Zano, and this asset will have absolutely the same properties as native Zano coin. And when someone look into transaction from outside world, from Block Explorer, he cannot say what type of assets actually transferred in this transaction, either it's native asset or some tokens. You cannot see what is actually transferring in transaction. It can be in one transaction, can be mix of assets. It can be normally send some deployed asset. Also, if native coins can attach it to this transaction because you need to pay fee. So it's all mixed, and at the same time it's all tied with cryptography. So that's the two main difference I can say. More stronger consensus. I believe in this. That's more stronger proof of work, proof of stake, and tokenization on top of blockchain. That's two main differences.
Could you elaborate on the fee differences between Zano and something like Monero or Zcash or any of these other ones? I recall reading recently that Zano charges, I think it's 0.01 Zano per transaction, and that's could be configurable in the future, but that right now there was a cool message I was reading that was I guess if there's more than 100 transactions per minute, that Zano could actually become a deflationary asset with enough on-chain activity, given just the way that the network fees are kind of baked into the protocol.
Yeah, we decided to burn transaction fee. There's a bunch of reasons for that, including that the coin can become a deflationary itself. I honestly, as an engineer, for me, it doesn't make much difference if it's burned or not, because it's a more economic perspective of the project. From technical perspective, it doesn't secure your consensus better or worse. It doesn't not connected to this. But in terms of size of transaction fee, there is a problem for all privacy. All privacy projects that cost of computational cost of transaction is way better compared to Bitcoin or Ethereum. Ethereum still could be also a problem because you have a virtual machine, but in the privacy coins, to validate the signature, you need way more to perform way more calculations and operations on CPU. So for us, it's really hard to build a high TPS system, and we still on a good level. I think we can handle 15 to 20 transactions per second without any problems. We did a stress test years before on the test network with like a simulation of high transaction flow. I think it could be even more. It depends on the average machine in the network, and we can actually raise the requirements to the hardware. For example, if we say that we need the same hardware as Ethereum not needed, so we can go higher. I think 30 to 50 transactions per second. But I mean, I don't want to put this high expectations. We never tested that high numbers. And from that perspective, we can, the transaction fees are quite low, and the only reason why we need a transaction fee at this moment is just to avoid the transaction flood attack. So nobody can flood network with super cheap transactions. And we are working right now actually on something that we don't want to weight transactions fee by transaction size or by estimate some computational cost. We don't want to do this because my vision is that as soon as you have some normal or average transaction flow, you don't need to charge more for that. There is no need. The basically cost of transaction should be as minimum as possible. The only reason we have transaction fee is to protect ourselves from the flood attack. So we're building systems that's similar to Ethereum, many other projects, that if you have a high demand of transaction, then transaction fee are rising and protect network from overwhelming. That's pretty much what we haven't done, and that's how we see the transaction fees are being worked and done.
That's cool. Well, so I guess maybe just a general question just regarding privacy as a whole. Like ERC20 tokens on Ethereum came out in like 2015, 2016, somewhere out there. Why did it take so long for privacy coins to like look at confidential assets? And like, I guess, how did you guys arrive to that decision to say that's going to be part of what makes us different?
Now, first of all, Pavel was saying, hey guys, can you build this, please? We need this. It's the future.
It took me a while to arrive to that conclusion, but there's like a notable difference. Ethereum tokens, if you know how it works, it's basically a spreadsheet on a smart contract. It's not like coin being transferred from one place to another. It's just somewhere on a smart contract, you have your balance updated to the certain amount, and same happens to your counterparty. So it's not like there's another Ethereum going around on Ethereum network doing the same thing that Ethereum does, and which is what we are doing. Every asset on Zano network has all the same features as native Zano. The only difference is that it cannot be used as a fee paying mechanism. And the only reason for that, again, as Andrew mentioned in the previous answer, we needed to have a monetary value. You cannot create money out of thin air, and native Zano is the only thing with the price we are somewhat sure of. If you create a new coin, it doesn't have a price, and you can keep spamming the network if we allow fees to be paid with that. So it's like fundamentally different technologies, and obviously it took a while to develop. This is why.
It's actually took a lot of time. I think we never discovered the stories that I think the first conversations about this started in 2020 or 2020. I think 4 years ago we started to brainstorm if it's possible. There is a different ways to do this. Even on CryptoNode family technologies like Monero or other coins, you can do this by introducing like a subset of the outputs. It's something that could
it feels that
color
for us.
Yeah. We saw the project. I think Heaven was doing this thing. Heaven project. I don't know.
It's Netcoin or someone else who did the subsets of price. Well, it doesn't matter, but that's not the true way. Please continue.
Yeah, so we were brainstorming how to do this. There's naive implementation was obvious way we were thinking about this. That's how we started to think. So we knew that people are interested in having assets, and honestly speaking, if you see the common practice of using crypto in 2020 already, it's been like this, that nobody actually pay for things with Bitcoin or with Ethereum. People use stable coins here and there, everywhere. And we ourselves, our internal process, like in terms of payments, tied to stable coins. We pay to freelancers, to developers. Part of was Zano as a bonus, but when it comes to salary or reward, people expect to have something that they can estimate. So it's been obvious that we need something to people can use as stable coins or the tokens that have a predictable price, or many other use. So you can see how the Ethereum ecosystem exploded with all these tokens. And we started to think about this. Pavel was pushing us, hey guys, can you come up with something cool? And there was a bunch of iterations, and at some point Val said that he has idea how to do this. we bounced different ideas, but it's mostly Val, the guy who invented this. Also, we hired the guy from Monero community to review our ideas, Core, known as your name, Core, respected developer from Monero community. And by this time, he was just around, wasn't lead developer by this time. And he started to review the paper. Then he found some issues, and then he started to throw ideas and other ideas. So they chatted to each other like for a few weeks, and then he just became co-author of the paper. He helped us to build the main idea behind the Zano thing, and I spoke a little bit longer about this, but that's the story. So it took a lot of time, and then we started to implement this, and this was quite painful because we had to re-implement basically everything. The core, the wallet had like basically it's re-implemented. So it took so much time, and we pushed deadlines so many times. So we made new deadlines. So some people even became skeptical that we never gonna deliver this. But yeah, after all, it's happened, luckily.
Yeah, I was on the live stream when the first post-Zarkanum block was found. And then
this was...
yeah, I was nervous for you guys, man. You could tell everyone was like, oh, man.
That was
it's time
to watch, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is an explanation if you want to know that why it took that long, but I don't know if you guys want to know. But
let's hear it.
Well,
Definitely.
Basically, after Zarkanum hard fork, we switched to the new types of outputs, and only Zarkanum compatible outputs were able to produce proof of stake blocks. But as our hybrid consensus works, we have to alternate between proof of work and proof of stake blocks. And so that happened. Our major pool haven't updated to the new version. So we were stuck waiting for the proof of work block to allow proof of stake network to work. And it took us some time to get it touched to facilitate the update and get them to produce blocks so our proof of stake network can kick off.
Yeah,
I lost so many times. That did work well. They always have to forget to update their software.
Well, it was our fault, really, because there's like a tiny portion of Zano, like GitHub that works with pools, and we haven't updated that because we didn't even knew it existed.
Yeah, there was a little model that mining software, pool software using for the calculation for stuff for binary operation, and it was like out of our focus at all because normally they do autonomous, they do ourselves, and one of the pools that been like for ages with us, the guy, I think he's from Vietnam, and when we were in the middle of this, stressed with everything, he was in the middle of the night and he was trying to fix it, and we spent like 1 hour or something fixing it like really quickly and stressed. The guy didn't sleep the whole night because then we on the road we got another few bumps. So I also woke him up at the middle of the night second time and third time. But after all, it worked. So we fixed everything. There was a few minor issues that it wasn't issues with the core technology, but was issues like here and there because so many things was new. So we just didn't expect those particular things. There was another funny thing that we tested this transition period many times. We did a lot of tests, but it's kind of funny that after the hard fork point, we not allow all transactions anymore with old outputs, only new transaction. And the second before the hard fork block hit the network, someone sent transaction to the network, so it was relayed. And then with a new era, it stuck everywhere. And because we didn't check this situation, it was with every mining block, it was trying to get in the block, and then it failed the block. and then we also stuck with this issue. But yeah, it's all that's it happens when you run network and then you do the major improvements. You always face something. Doesn't matter how many tests you did, and that's what we experienced during our 10 years journey in crypto.
That's great, though. I think it's a fun story. You guys are building the airplane while it's still in the air.
Yeah,
making it all work. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, good thing nothing fundamentally was broken, so we haven't had any serious issues like network splits and stuff like that. It's basically maintenance work we had to perform to kickstart the process, but the tech itself works smoothly, so I guess it went good considering all the circumstances.
Yeah, that's great.
Congratulations, guys.
David.
Sure.
David, do you want to? I know you and I were talking about some of the differences of Zano with the auditable side of stuff. Maybe you can go into some of the questions there.
Yeah, I mean, this will tie into some of the other questions later, but could you guys talk a little bit about the audible features of Zano? Because I think this is, in my estimation, a very important use case and potentially important for the kind of the efficacy of privacy coins in general, right? Like for their survivability.
Yeah. The only reason we did it because the only main reason we saw in it that we had a lot of questions and doubts from people about the dev fund, because dev fund is very important, and there is tons of projects, even very good projects, and with a lot of promising technologies are dead right now in this in the crypto space because they just eaten dev fund, and then developers left because they lost incentive or work on this, because people need to feed their family. It's a natural thing, and doesn't matter how much we talk about being fair and not trying to scam anyone. We decided to build something that people can see that the money is there, and we did it's not a complicated technology. It's a little tweaks. We just made some artificial rules for the wallet. It's since the beginning in the all crypto node project that's been something called a view key and spend key. View key is kind of tracking tool that can let you see incoming payments, but with having only view key, you cannot see out. You cannot make sure if this output spent or not because of the ring signatures, and since you cannot derive the key image of having only view key, you cannot actually make sure if this output is spent or not spent. So we made this little tweak and created specific wallet that there was some specific attributes introduced back in 8 years ago in a project that I was doing before, that says that this particular output can be spent without cannot be included in the rings to as a decoy. It can be spent only without one of this particular private properties, without unlinking the transactions. And with that, it became easy to track the wallet. And the thing is, actually, with this wallet, you cannot tell exactly how money it has. You can say that it has at least this amount of money, because I mean, even if I see the auditable address, I can send a regular transaction to this address, and our default software doesn't count this assets, just to make everything simple. Yeah, but you can actually make things looks little bit. It's not that easy to get rid of privacy, but it's gonna work as this way. So when you see this auditable wallet, you can see this wallet have, for example, 100,000 coins or more probably, but at least 100,000 coins you can make sure. So that's will serve perfectly well for the public funds, including our debt funds. So that's working this way, and that's we'll keep working the same way with after the Zano hard fork for us confidential set as well. You can set up the auditable address, and everybody can see what type of assets are in it, not only native coin.
So in theory, anyone that bridged over like an asset from something else, or if they were to create a new asset, they would have that same capability of saying, we've got a dev fund that's on our own token that has this auditable wallet, and it has that same capability as the native Zano dev fund as well.
Sorry, I didn't get you. Say the bridge it something.
Yeah, like if someone were to bridge a token over in the future or mint a new token on Zano, they would inherit that ability to have a auditable wallet, auditable dev fund as well.
Yeah, sure. Just to make a little clear, when you, for example, if you want to bridge some coin from Zano to Ethereum, for example, I don't know. For example, you can do the wrapped Zano. That's the way wrapped Zano works, actually. When you bridge Zano itself or other token to any other network, it would be good to have this custody wallet to be auditable, so everybody can see it's legit, right? If you bridge something from outer world, for example, you want to bridge Ethereum into Zano network, you actually don't need to have a auditable wallet because you deploy a set wrapped Zano wrapped Ethereum, for example, and that's something when you deploy assets, something introduced to networks, something we call asset descriptor. This is just a descriptor. It's just a piece of information that flow in this privacy blockchain with everything anonymous around this. But this asset descriptor, it has first of all, it holds a number of total coins currently emitted by this asset, and it's validated because as soon as you emit something, you create very specific transaction that declare, here I am deploying this particular asset with this asset descriptor. It's new thing. It's going to be registered in the system. And at this moment, these tokens are printed from the air, right? Because it's registered that this asset descriptor deploying thing from the air, that's going to be circulating something new with this asset ID, right? And also you can emit it. But in this descriptor is written that currently in circulation, this amount of money. Also, you have a maximum supply that allow it for this asset that you can also signal to other users that you, as owner of this descriptor, the person who controls the token, you can also emit coins, but not higher than this maximum amount. And also you can burn coins. For example, if in some tokenization mechanics or rapid bridging, you can mint and bridge, and this you maintain the same amount number. For example, if you have a custody, so custody always match with amount of coins currently emitted. So these asset descriptors, they hold the accounting very strictly with no, we believe, with no options to print or have some hidden supply. And it has these records everywhere. So you can see how much coins at this moment emitted totally and in circulation. You cannot see those coins because they, as soon as you emitted this, they dive into this privacy. I don't want to say darkness, but in the privacy field, so you can see that. But you can make sure that the amount is exactly the same, and it's relied on the key images thing that I use it to avoid double spends in our project in all CryptoNode families.
I think you went a little bit too technical there, and
yeah, I will. You can stop anytime. I will.
Yeah, I didn't want to
like 5, please.
Yeah, the thing is, if for whatever reason, for your own asset or project, you need to have a transparent, auditable address for accountability of any kind, you can do auditable wallets if you want to.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we have we have about 15 minutes left. I think we should move to open the conversation up about privacy in general. And to start things off, a simple question: do you think privacy coins have a future in light of kind of the actions of governments and regulators the past couple of years? It seems like they're kind of trying to squeeze out privacy coins.
Well, I think they do. I mean, privacy coins are the only true cryptocurrency because they're the only fungible cryptocurrency. And of course, there is a narrative suggesting they'll be regulated out of existence. But the same thing was said about Bitcoin for years. And here we are, there are ETFs and everything. So there's always a market for something that is opposing government. And I don't think they will stop existing. It might be not as popular, but again, that happened to Bitcoin years ago and it survived and thrived.
But Pavel, I would argue that, or one could make the argument that regulators stopped being so concerned about Bitcoin when they realized it was so perfectly traceable, right?
Yes, they stopped.
It's not privacy protected at all. I feel like privacy coins, in some ways, that maintain privacy are kind of a more kind of existential threat to governments. I don't know.
It is, yeah, but it's also useful for government because governments do not like transparency. They don't want to be audited on their expenses and everything. If anything is going to be adopted by governments for internal use, I believe that should be privacy coins.
Yeah, that's a spicy take. I think one of the most silly things I still hear from folks that kind of come into Bitcoin and crypto as new users is they assume they have privacy. They're like, oh, well, now that I use Bitcoin, I'm anonymous. And it's a bit like they've in many ways been sold a false bill of goods that, the idea of pseudo-anonymity gets confused with total anonymity. And a lot of people are probably making some foolish mistakes, making the assumption that they actually have anonymity, when in fact, they're completely public and everything is in the wide open for anyone to see. And that chainalysis firms and exchanges and three-letter agencies collaborate to ensure that they know who's got what and where things are going and how to find the bad guys and how to find the good guys that are maybe doing bad things. And yeah, so I think it is interesting that there is still this core group of developers and projects that are still going down this path of, no, we don't want that.
Actually,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay.
Or you want to continue? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I think the problem is that most of the people underestimate the situation that's happening right now, and I think not everyone, at least now, or majority of people don't understand that every single transaction that they do now or that had done in the past 5 years or 7 years, in the future, all those transactions will be attributed to them. Doesn't matter how they see the private, they believe they do private things, they believe they don't do at this particular moment KYC or something. After 10 years, all these transactions will be connected to them because that's what's happening now, and that's not easy connect to A and B because so much data collected right now. It's not being sold yet probably, but all this data is collected and every single transaction will be attributed, and then it will come to serious problems in terms of privacy, in terms of safety. Some people maybe face taxation charges.
You don't need to collect them. I mean, it's just there. It sits there.
Yeah.
And if you need it in 5 years, you can attribute your meme coin casino to you and charge you with capital gain taxes.
Yeah. So for that reason, I believe that privacy coins really make a lot of sense and needed for people just to protect themselves from just to not being revealed publicly all of them transaction in the future, and that's also a lot of confusion that some people connect privacy coins to some criminal activities, which is absolutely wrong. And our project is do nothing in connection to this. Just a disclaimer: it's totally wrong because all we do is just building perfect money, and that's how money should be acting. You should not leave your trace publicly. Everything you buy, every transaction shouldn't be public and seen. Who it does, how much money he has, what he did with his money next, and things like
you don't
that.
publish your bank statements. Like, this is just a common sense. You don't want that information out in the open. But somehow
that's why
believe it's fine thing to do with Bitcoin. And one more thing I wanted to add about the false sense of privacy, that some people believe that all cryptocurrency is like anonymous, which is not the thing. It's a matter of skill. I mean, if you do privacy coins wrong, you can still get busted. There are a lot of cases happen to people try to do stuff with Monero just to deposit and withdraw it from one centralized exchange to another. So if you do not understand how technology works, you can still dox yourself, because using KYC services, you leave a lot of metadata in your transaction. So I believe there's a way to do Bitcoin anonymously, maybe if you do a lot of extra steps, but privacy coins just make things easier, but still you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one classic example of this is like, I need to send some, for example, Monero to someone else, but the address is really long and hard to write down, so I'm going to copy paste it on my instant messenger and kind of give away metadata on the channel.
Or you can do Monero transaction between two centralized exchanges, because why would you bother to run your own wallet? That makes no sense.
Let me go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think one of the strong reasons I still follow the privacy coin space is because I do believe that the whole idea of CBDCs, and they've become this sort of boogeyman that I think a lot of governments were using as a bit of a red herring, because the reality is everything else is a CBDC. Bitcoin is kind of a CBDC. With the right analysis tools, you can pretty well dox anything and anyone. And a lot of people are operating, assuming they're fairly private, but they're not. And there are ways, you can, reduce that.
Yeah, they might be
likelihood.
Like right now, but in 5 years with the AI development and everything, they won't be. Eventually, if there's a data available on chain, it could be connected to you through bunch of footprints you left all over the place. There's no privacy on the internet.
Yeah, all it takes is like a few bad UTXOs to mix. You use one wallet that doesn't do it quite right, and
that's exactly the reason why we think that fungible coins are better, because normal user does not have a capacity to backtrack all the UTXOs like 10, 100 steps back, and professional companies like Texas and wallets, they can. So it's actually the end user that are in disadvantage. He could receive coins that been used in, I don't know, like child porn producing or human trafficking, and he didn't know any better. He just got paid for his, I don't know, work online with Bitcoin, and now he's stuck with a coin he cannot use. So it's just unfair to force people to use something like that.
So I have maybe a wild kind of pessimistic take on this. I think governments are going to really, really crack down on this. And I think that you're probably going to have some kind of compromise that, like, I feel like a project like Monero is not flexible enough, right? They're full 100% privacy, inflexible, and I think they could be pushed to the periphery and kind of be relegated to a kind of a novelty thing. But I feel like some of the tech that you guys are building, like audible wallets, kind of strikes the balance where you can give enough transparency to governments and regulators in the right places where governments can, there's some room, there's some play there to kind of placate governments and regulators, but you can maintain most, if not all, of your privacy. And I think that, personally, I think pragmatically speaking, that's going to be important in the future. I don't know. What do you guys think of that craziness?
Yeah, actually, I visited Manera.con conference in Prague 1 month ago, a few weeks ago, and I was speaking about this subject with a few people from Manera core team, and also people who very involved in building Monero. And there is a consensus that in the United States they believe as soon as you write code and publish code or write papers, you're in a safety zone, because the way the laws works in the United States, you have freedom of speech, and that's how you protect yourself. Then there is a borderline here. So as soon as you profit from private transactions that proven to be malicious or related to some illegal activities, they can prosecute you. If as soon as you operate something, for example, writing servers or writing some services that directly profit from this, they can prosecute you. So right now, the situation is like this, and people realize the risks. But I think the good part of it, that the core contributor to technology, which is scientists and developers, they are relatively considered to be in safe zone, which is not the same for Europe. As far as I know, in Europe, they can prosecute whoever they want if they believe that the code created for malicious goals. But the situation is little bit scary, yes. People are.
I don't
so
think it was about you, like if you're gonna go to jail. It's about if privacy will survive as a whole.
But that's the same question, actually. The privacy will survive because the project will be dead without developers, without maintainers, right? I don't know how it can survive without people who run this.
Just leave it as it is and disappear. That's what happened to Bitcoin, essentially.
But yeah, it now been taken over by other people.
Yeah.
Run it. Not the way it's planned to be. So
yeah,
we don't know if it's for a good or for.
Yeah, I don't think we have answer to that. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's more like a legal question than the technology kind of question. We got tools like auditable wallets, and we could try to make something work, but we are not sacrificing the privacy because that's the main ethos of the project, and without that, it's worth nothing. It's just another token.
Yeah, it will become a problem for us in the future, because if someone from government, like 3 letters agency, come to us and say, hey, you go to prison if you will not help us to de-anonymize some transactions in your network, and we won't be able to do this because there is not that we... Yeah, we cannot. That's the mass, that's open system. There is not something that we nobody else knows.
No keys, no backdoors. Like we got nothing that other people don't. Like you can run a wallet and you have as much access to the network as we do.
Okay, I have one last question, a general privacy coin question, which is, this came up in 2017 a lot about Ethereum and to a certain extent Bitcoin, but especially Ethereum. if the main use case for privacy coins is to have private transactions, then that doesn't necessarily translate to like any kind of token appreciation, right? Because of the velocity of the currency is just kind of being used, and people get into it, and then they do their transaction and they get out, right? I was wondering if you guys have any feelings about this. If
Yeah, we do. I mean, that, well, first of all, that depends on the project's tokenomics. I can only speculate on Zano's, but I guess other projects have their own thing going on. And while it's not a top priority for us, we have mentioned before that we do have a fee burning mechanics, and all fees for projects being run on Zano are paid in native Zano coins. Therefore, if we have sufficient activity on chain, that will drive demand and gradually reduce the supply, which could lead to the price appreciation over time. It's not like our main feature, but that could realistically happen, and I'm be happy to see that.
All right, Corbin, any last questions before we move on?
Nope, all good here. Yeah.
All right, so thank you guys. We're coming to the last section of the show. We're gonna kind of show and tell a couple things. If you look at the screen, I've got the first one coming up here. Let's see, just a little conspiratorialness.
You see the screen? I could totally see.
I'm doing it right now. Do you see that?
I thought I was missing the screen the entire time.
No. I was just me being slow. All right, I think this is mentioned at the top of the show by, I think, Pavel, or at least into that, right? Like Bitcoin movements last week into this week all seem to be going at the same time, right? The government selling Silk Road Bitcoin, selling these Bamit Bitcoin, Germany's doing it as well, and then the Mt. Gox distribution. It just seems very coincidental. Any thoughts on this? Is this a conspiracy? Is this just coincidence?
Well, I don't know any of the insights. I think it's coincidental. I normally try not to believe in conspiracy theories. It's just people felt it's a good time to move it. And if it's a government or any kind of like big body, it takes a while to come to the decision to do something. Maybe they decided to do it like a few months ago, and just now they arrived to the point they can actually do it because of the chain of command and stuff. So my take would be it's coincidental, and MTGOX was trying to do it for a lot of years. It just never occurred until now. Maybe the ETF success kind of nudged them in that direction, like they seen the amount of money coming in and thought it's a good time to do it right now. And that's the time that took them to actually start move.
Very good. Anyone else want to venture?
Well, maybe I can do my next show and tell, which is it seems like the latest on Twitter is that there was a debate on this whole Trump versus Biden situation. I haven't seen this debate, but apparently Biden short-circuited a bit on stage. His brain kind of, did the old skip a beat. And I guess they're claiming that on Twitter that they might be putting in a new candidate. Do you guys follow the U.S. political landscape? How do you guys see the general sentiment towards crypto, and what does a future with Trump or a future with Biden, what does that look like for privacy coins? General sentiment towards crypto, and what does a future with Trump or a future with Biden?
I think I'm hearing some sort of feedback. I don't know what's going on.
That's from the Twitter Spaces.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't think we are the right people to ask about that. We have a couple of Russian guys in Dubai So it would be mighty arrogant.
You guys would want to influence another election, right? That's what you're saying?
Like we get enough botnet accusations as it is, so we don't want to pile on that. But I can only say that cryptocurrency being used as a part of pre-election speeches is a big improvement. That wasn't the thing like years back, and now it's like a major topic on a presidential debates, which is great, I think, in terms of adoption. And I don't really have an opinion on candidates, but it's good to know that this is a topic that is being discussed.
It's a very fair answer.
Well,
Yeah,
I
hopefully
tried my
privacy coins will be mentioned next election cycle. That'll be a key thing.
Okay. Well, I would personally prefer it not being used as a part of presidential debates because I don't want to be put on the spot, but we'll see.
All right. I think we can call it, guys. Thank you for coming on and talking to us about privacy. I know it's near and dear to our hearts here at Bitcoin.com. Certainly is to mine. And I wish you guys nothing but the best. I'm sure Corbin does too.
Yeah, I guess maybe where should guys follow you guys, or what's the best place for our viewers to go learn more about privacy coins and Zano?
Well, we got a Twitter, or should we call it X now, and Telegram and Discord channels. We could probably post it below, like in comments somewhere to the stream. And that would be the best place. I mean, I'm there the majority of the day, 14 hours a day at least. So I'll be happy to help if there's any questions or anything. Yeah, that's the one. Links.zano.org. There are all kinds of links, all social media and all major media platform.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Thank you. We're going to
Yes,
hold the
appreciate you having us.
Thanks for lighting up. Thank you.
Yeah, joining, guys. It's been fun.
Yeah, guys, keep doing the great work. Come on.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Take care.
Bye.